Welcome to the Inside Mind podcast. My name is Josh, and you just stepped inside my mind. You know, my personality has many layers, and I believe everybody has that. Everybody's like an onion, whether they want to admit it or not. And with that, even though I'm usually a very happy-go-lucky person at this time of my life, I still have a melancholic side, and that's where I feel like I get the most art through the melancholy, emotion. And so I like to watch like either the core videos on TikTok or hope core. And the reality is that our generation really struggles with hoping. And that's a big theme within the core videos. Everybody's very lonely. And as somebody who has experienced loneliness in deep ways, I feel like I can not only relate to that, but also speak on it. At this time in my life, I don't feel lonely. I don't struggle with loneliness. But from most of my childhood to probably age 22, those were some dark times. Times where I didn't feel I was worth anybody's time or worth it in any way. There was even a time where I was surrounded by people, but I felt completely alone. And I think many people can also relate to that. You know, it's like two sides. You have people who are not having a lot of friends in their life. And then there's the people who have many, many friends, and yet they feel lonely. There's a difference between being alone, being okay truly with being alone, and then also actually feeling the feelings of loneliness. And I find that the reason why we feel loneliness is because something in us is missing. We don't love ourselves. So we seek somebody else, something outside of us, to give us that validation, to give us that feeling of we're wanted. And it's a very human desire. We all deep down want to be wanted. If that wasn't true, then social media wouldn't exist. It wouldn't be so successful. It wouldn't be the way our culture is. There's an unhealth in the way we seek validation. There's an unhealth in our generation where we seek validation as a means to put a Band-Aid over bullet wounds. Unfortunately, it happens often. We think that this one person will give me worth. We think that if I become successful on social media, it will give me worth. We think that if I get to a certain level at my job, I have worth. And then people get there and they go, I still feel the same. People go, well, what the hell do I need to get to feel fulfilled? To feel not how I feel. Many people mask their loneliness by surrounding themselves or distracting themselves. A big problem with our generation is we don't want to do the hard work. We don't want to face our fears, unfortunately. And so our wounds have gotten infected. And because they're infected, they're affecting people around us, let alone affecting our self-perception, which is creating self-preservation. And then that's affecting us relationally, emotionally, and aspects socially and intimacy wise. Like our issues are, we have so many issues. And there are people working on it. I think there might be it might be the silent majority and it might be the silent minority. It's hard to tell at this time, but I think in the future we'll know for sure. But a lot of people aren't courageous enough to face themselves. And personally, though, what's helped me is facing me, all my insecurities, facing them head on instead of masking them. We feel lonely. We don't want to be alone because, well, I've said it before, but that's where a lot of the feelings of worthlessness come. That's when a lot of the questions, existentialism starts to hit. You start to go, I don't want to face this stuff, or traumas or other things. They start to reflect, and we don't want to see those things. We don't want to feel them, usually. But as I also said before, the only way we can kind of cure this issue, these deep-seated issues, is when we figure out the why of why they are there, asking those questions. Well, then we have to do the work to fix them and face them head on. So how do we face them head on? Well, when you have every opportunity, you take it. A lot of us, we struggle to be in the quiet, because the quiet is what will reveal everything. And so we got to turn off social media. We got to block out time to feel those feelings that are affecting us. And when the lonely thoughts come, we got to let them be there. And I know it's scary, but I did that. And as I did that, I felt so much pain on a deeper level. But as you face it, as you accept it and embrace it, eventually it will become your biggest strength. That sounds scary, right? Like, biggest strength. I don't want that to be my biggest strength. The natural thing is to be like, I don't want to feel this. I'm not going to. My generation, our generation, we like to, procrastinate a lot of things because it's not instant gratification. We love instant gratification. We're so used to it. We got Amazon, we got Netflix, we got our iPhones, we got an Apple Pay. Like we just have so much of an illusion of instant gratification, or maybe not even illusion. We have to a degree instant gratification, but the problem is it's not like that for, relationships, for our own self-growth. It takes time. And so some people might try to improve areas of their life, but they don't actually, continue. They start and then they go, I'm not getting any results, or this is too painful, I'm going to stop. And I've done all of it. I've reverted big time. I've pulled back. I've stopped pushing. I've done all that before, so I get it. I completely understand. But if you stagnate in your growth, you will revert over time into somebody worse than you were before. And I don't mean always in like personality or something like that. No, it's just internally in your mind. The unhealth will continue if it's not addressed. We have to address our issues. And then after we address them, we have to work on them. Go through the surgery, get those bullets out, and then sew it up slowly but surely. Sometimes that sewing takes a little bit longer, unfortunately. A great exercise of being okay with being alone is when you have the opportunity, not only do you take it, but you remove all distractions, sit in it, and then as time goes on, after it's a little too painful, find something to do that you enjoy. Because this comes down to a layer of issue is self-love. And our generation really likes to talk about self-love, but I don't see a lot of people loving themselves, if I'm honest. And so I don't really like to even say the word self-love because it just feels redundant. It just feels like, cliche at this point. But it is the answer to a degree. Loving who God made you, how you're designed, is important. But it's not easy. When those feelings come, you have to reparent yourself. You have to be the best friend to you. I was such a bad friend to myself when I was younger. I thought I was motivating myself. You piece of shit. You got to get together. You better get right now. If you don't get right, there's a problem. Are you a loser? Are you a bitch? I would say that stuff to myself. And it got the results for a time. And then it also eventually got me results of worse self-hate. And when I couldn't perform, oh man, that friend was terrible to me. And a lot of us get into that space, where we do that for a habit, for a time, be critical of ourselves, But then we burn out because we're human. We get knocked down hecka hard, and then we go, oh, I'm hurting. And then the person who's our friend is talking to us very poorly. So an exercise that I've learned is, and this is not, and this is something psychologists will teach, is you got to reparent the inner child. What your parents didn't give you, maybe you got to give to yourself. It's one of the ways you have to heal it. You have to tell yourself, it's okay. You're doing your best. If you really are doing your best, make sure you're doing your best. But give yourself grace. Give yourself compassion. Give yourself understanding. Now, here's the thing. You may give yourself understanding, but there's a point where you can't just give yourself understanding. You have to lovingly encourage yourself. Being your best friend is incredibly hard. It was one of the hardest things I ever had to do, but the results are worth it. And so the beautiful thing about this is you're building those neural pathways, and that takes time. It takes a long time, actually, because you created these habits where you talk bad to yourself over time. And as you're talking bad to yourself constantly, well, you're making those neural pathways stronger. So it's just naturally going to go there. You're naturally going to go negative. You're naturally going to talk down to yourself. So you have to actively try to talk good to yourself. And it's going to feel ridiculous at first. It's going to feel stupid. It's going to feel like this is not helpful. It's also going to be extremely hard. And it's going to feel like you're spinning your wheels at points. I know it did me. Going, is this worth it? Is this silly? And maybe it is silly, but man, is it helpful. And so because you can make them stronger, it's really awesome when you finally get into that habit, because that will break down the negative neural pathways that talk down to yourself. That will eventually start to diminish, if not go away entirely. It just takes time. Most of y'all are willing to put in the time in the gym. Most of y'all are willing to put in the time for your jobs. You know, if you want to get, higher up in your pay or whatever. Most of y'all are willing to hustle, But a lot of y'all don't like to actually work on the things that you really need to face internally. We love to talk about it. We love to dissect it psychologically and go, oh, this is why I'm this way. Or, I looked at the anagram and I'm this personality. We love to do all that stuff, but then we don't actually fix it. I am this way because of my childhood. I am this way because of what happened in high school. I'm this way because of this. But that's the first step. You are aware of why. I'm aware that I'm socially awkward and I struggle with connecting with people because I'm scared of connecting to people due to what happened in my childhood. You're aware, but are you willing to change it? Are you willing to put in that effort to change it? Because you can. That's the beautiful thing, is we're not stuck like this. We don't have to be stuck not having our shit together. We can get our shit together over time. It just takes a lot of effort. The same effort you put into the gym to get your muscles really nice so you can finally have girls want you or guys think you're more attractive, whatever it might be. You will do that, but will you do this for yourself? Right? It's so funny. People say, do it for yourself. Are you willing to go through pain for yourself? Are you willing to face your pain of what happened in your childhood completely? Are you willing to do the work? Not just talk about it, not just be aware of it, but to change it, actively change yourself in the right ways. So talking good to yourself, despite how you feel. Despite your natural inclination wants to talk down to yourself, call yourself stupid, call yourself a loser. Another thing that's helped me in knowing my worth as a human being is that even in my loneliness, I'm not alone. I hear this concept a lot. People say, we're alone in our minds eventually. So we're eventually going to be alone even if we do have somebody near us by our side. It's true. It's true. But the beautiful thing about having faith in Jesus is that we are not alone. He would never leave us or forsake us, which is very beautiful, because this world is crazy and it's hard to live here, and our minds are even harder to navigate. And so you're telling me that I'm not completely alone. I have God right there with me. That's what's helped me to really be okay with walking around alone, living life alone. And now I don't have issues with abandonment. If people leave, they're welcome to leave. You have freedom to leave. I'm detached to that because you don't define my worth. You spending time with me is beautiful, but if you chose to leave, you are welcome to. You don't have to stay. No one has to ever stay. I'm not entitled to you staying. And you're not entitled for you to stay if you are disrespecting my boundaries, right? But God's really helped me with knowing that I am his son. No more lies about my worth. I don't have to prove myself. And so in my darkest spaces, in my most broken spaces, he's there for me. He's there with me. In depression, in suicidal thoughts, he's with me no matter what. I'm not alone. So if you're trying to raw dog life right now, thug it out just by yourself, I'd suggest looking into Jesus. He's helped me a lot, and the Lord has helped me a lot throughout life. But like I said, the practical steps do exist as well. And that's be your best friend, no matter what. No matter what your brain tells you to think of yourself, you fight to create those opposite neural pathways. People say, oh, there's like an angel devil, concept. That's just you and your mind. So instead, be the good friend that talks back to the bad friend that's saying, you're worthless. You're nothing. You're a loser. Look right here. These people don't want you. You're a loser. Look right here. This person didn't want you. You're a loser. Look right here. Your parents didn't love you. You're a loser. You're unwanted. Everyone has their wounds. No one is without wounds in this world. And everyone has issues with loneliness deep down. Some people mask it well. Some people have really strong cognitive dissonance against it. But it's only the people who have completely done that work of being the best friend that they can be to themselves. And it's such a habit that negative voice barely comes. When they get to that point, that's how you know it's genuine, that they really are okay being alone. It's not a mask. It's not a coping mechanism. It's not a front. Because there is a lot of people that go, I'm okay with being alone. I'm a thug. I don't need to worry about what people think of me. But once they start talking about all that stuff and saying those words constantly, you start to go, okay, you're overcompensating. I see. I used to do that a ton. I used to tell people that I know who I am. I know I'm enough. Doesn't matter what people think of me. I'd even preach that to people. But inside, I constantly was still caring about what people thought. And I was aware, but I still needed to fix this problem. I needed to fix this problem in me. And I was actively trying the entire time. It took me 7 years of actively trying to get the results I live with now, where I'm the most healthy in my mind. So if you're still doing this, and you're reverting to old habits, it's okay. If you're still lonely and you still feel like you need to seek out creating new relationships, or maybe you're a codependent, you're constantly trying to be codependent and you want to get rid of that, but you just can't, it's okay. But don't stay there. Though we have a lot of time, at the same time we don't. And what I mean by that is, yes, we may be in our early 20s, mid-20s, whatever, and we go, I got time. But before you know it, you don't. And so don't lie to yourself and say, you have time, I can fix this later, I can take care of that later. Start now. Don't procrastinate. Your future self will thank you. And if you have kids and have a family, your family will thank you. We should set ourselves up for success, not set ourselves up for future failure. But what we have to do for that is to take the gift that is the present and utilize it. But we have to receive the gift that is the present and respect that gift completely. Not do stupid things just because we're young and dumb and have fun. That's the message right now. But wait till you're 35. And you still create, and since you create those neural pathways and those habits in your younger years, they're going to reflect in your older years. They will. So be very cautious, because look at it this way, guys. Look at COVID, man. It happened 3 years ago, almost 4. And so what are we, and so many people you talk to, they're like, man, like I'm already here. Like, I can't believe like how time has flown. Everyone's saying how time is flying. Everything's so fast. I can't believe it's November already. You don't think that life is going to be like that in the next 3 extra years? How much have you grown since 3 years ago? Hopefully a lot. But have you become better? Are you a more improved version of yourself? Are you healthier to yourself than you were 3 years ago? That's where you got to ask yourself those questions. Like I said, it's not easy. It's very, very hard. I'm going to say that all the time. Like, I completely get it. It is the hardest shit I've ever had to do. And it's still something I have to maintain, but it's so worth it, because I do not struggle with depression. I do not struggle with anxiety. I do not struggle with fear of abandonment. I've overcome those areas of issues, so it's possible. I'm trying to present that healing is possible. You won't fall into healthy state of mind. You won't just wake up and then feel good. You have to actively do what's required. And what's required is extra work. It's going to feel uncomfortable. It's going to feel like not natural. It's going to feel foolish. Just like healthy food. It doesn't feel good. But then later, your body will thank you. And you'll look at yourself in a better way. You'll look better, healthier, right? You'll look stronger. You'll be like, man, I'm glad I've been doing this habit for so long, because I'm seeing some good results, right? Self-improve so you can be healthier for yourself, and in addition, be healthier for people around you. The question is, are you willing? Are you willing to go through pain? Are you willing to face your shame? Are you willing to make your brain healthier so you can just have an overall better frame of mind? My name is Josh. These are my thoughts. And you just stepped inside my mind.